So in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to configure beacons. Now it's important to note that depending on what brand of beacon you've purchased, the process is going to be different. So this setup I'm going to show you is the web application version of the Onyx beacon. So if you've purchased Onyx beacons, this is how you're going to configure them on the on their website. There's another portion that I'll show you in the next video that has to deal with the application on the iPad or an Android device or anything like that, and I'll walk you guys through that in the next video. But in this one, I'll go ahead and show you guys how to configure the Onyx beacons on the website here. Now all of what I'm about to show you here can actually be done on the iPad as well, but I think it's good to know how to do it both ways. So this is the main page here. You can see up here we've got beacons, so if we go ahead and click on that, you've got beacons, and then we have right underneath that company identifiers. And company identifiers are essentially a UUID that you can place beacons into groups. So you can create a UUID, and that's how the beacon is identified. And in that UUID, you can have multiple beacons. So for instance, if I just go ahead and click on company identifiers, I'll just give you a real quick walkthrough. These are the current ones that we have right now. So the ones that we're using on site for CGML is ORDrive beacons, level stockpile beacons, level access beacons, and decline. So in each one of these, you can think of these as groups. So in each one of these groups, I've got multiple beacons inside the group, and you can see here's the UUID right there. Now, when you're creating these, you can either Google, UUID generator, or if you come to our web console here and you go to configuration and go to beacons, when you try to create a new beacon group in here, you can see that over here to the right, I've already generated a random UUID. So let's say I wanted to make a new beacon group. I would copy this, right? So first I would make the beacon group on here, right? So for instance, let's find the ORDrive beacons. This is one that I created. So I typed all this information in. This UUID up top was automatically generated, so I grabbed that and I copied it, and then I came over here to Onyx beacon and I created a new, right up here, add new company identifier. So I'm not going to actually create this because it's already made, but I would type in the name of my beacon group, ORDrive beacons or whatever you want to call it. You can give it a description if you want, and then I'd go ahead and paste. Whoops, that is not what I thought I copied. You'd go ahead and paste. You'd go ahead and paste that there, right? Sorry, I don't know what all of this is here. Okay, anyways. So that's how you make the company identifier, and then you go ahead and hit create, right? And once you do that, let's go to beacons. So once you purchase beacons and you've got them with you, you're going to have to go ahead and add them to this interface here. So this is the list currently of all the beacons that we have on this site. So to add another beacon, you'd simply click add new beacon right here. It's going to bring you to this page, and you go ahead and give it a name. So typically, these are Onyx beacons, so how we've been naming them, and they have stickers on the side of them that you'll see. We've been naming it, just OB and then whatever number it is, right? And tags, you can give these tags. You can make a new tag as well. These kind of just real quickly let you know what type of beacon it is. Is this a beacon that's in a location? Is it a beacon that's on a machine? Is it a beacon that's on a person? However you wanted to set that up, you could create a new tag there. You can give a description if you want. Now, battery level and frequency, and power, all of those things will be determined once the beacon is actually synced and loaded. You're going to get that information. Let's see here. Okay, so UUID, so in this table here, right, these are all the different groups that we've made, right? You can see ORDrive beacons is here, level stockpile. So after I entered in all this information, I'd come down here and I'd pick what group I wanted to put it in, and then I also have to enter in what's called the major and the minor. And this is how whatever type of machine or device you're using identifies what beacon you're looking at. So our iPads, for instance, how does it know it's looking at beacon 16 versus 17? So major and minor, that's how it differentiates it. So on the side of your beacon, depending on which beacon you bought from Onyx beacon, it could be located in different places, but just look at the physical beacon, and it should be somewhere on the side. You'll see a sticker, and on that sticker you're going to see two numbers. Well, it could be more than two numbers, I guess, but you'll see the major first, and then you'll see a slash or a divided by symbol, and then the minor. So for instance, my major on this particular beacon is 87, and then it's slash, and then it's 53833. That's my major and minor, and that identifies this beacon as OB16, right? That's that beacon there. And that's just on the side of the beacon, depending on which beacon, it could be located in different places. So I'm not going to add it because I already have this beacon in the list here. So if I go back to beacon list, or I can click back up here and go to beacons, right? It'll bring me back to the list, and now I can see all the beacons that I've made. So let's quickly find that. I'll do a Control F, find OB16. There it is, you see? And we have OR drive beacons as the beacon group. There's its major, there's its minor. It's saying it's a location tag, giving you the battery percentage, and then when the last time it was seen in the system. Okay, so that's important to know. So let's say I wanted to change this beacon into a different beacon group. Well, I could do that simply just by clicking on the beacon here. You don't want to click here. You want to click actually on the beacon. This will give you a broader area to configure the beacon. If you just click on the beacon group, it's not going to give you as many options to edit. It brings you into a different window. Let's just give that a second to load. Wi-Fi is pretty slow. Hopefully we didn't just get disconnected. And then, okay, so while this is loading, we come back to the FARA tab. You'll notice we've got 3 different tabs here. So first you want to make the beacon group. Once you make that, okay, you're also going to have to, so once you name it, you're going to have to associate a relationship table with that, and then a location name. Now these are used for the beacon assignments, which I'll explain later. Upload frequency, this is in milliseconds. So that's 300 milliseconds, or 3 times a second. So that's its broadcast. I guess it's the frequency of its broadcast. So how many times is it pulsating? How many times is it broadcasting a second? So 300 is what we found to be pretty good. Beacon icons. You've got all these different icons again. Pick the one that makes sense. So it's the location beacon. That's what we said. We're putting in a location. So pick a location there. And then for here, these are tables that are already going to be pre-made. Typically, if you just pick this one here, UG locations, concat, and location name, you'll be all right. Okay, and then so after that's finished, you submit that by hitting this button on the previous page. Then you're going to go ahead and choose the beacon group that you want. So I'll choose OR drive beacon, and then you type in the beacon name, whatever you called it. Let's say I call it 16, and I type in the major and the minor again and save that. I'm not going to do that because OB16 is right here, and you can see the major and minor is already in, and its beacon group is OR drive beacon. So that's already set up in place. Okay. Then you're going to come over to beacon assignment, and you can see all the different beacons that have already been assigned here. And like I said, the beacon assignment, let me just pick a beacon here. The beacon assignment is populated through that relationship table, relationship column, which is what we picked on the very first beacon tab. So all of these are different locations in the mine, and this is what's going to be displayed on the iPad when you switch to the nearby people or nearby beacon tab. Show nearby beacons, right? This is what's going to display on your screen. You're going to see this. So that's what the beacon assignment is, okay? All right, so back to here, it finally opened up. If I wanted to change OB16 to a different beacon group, let's say, very simple. I'd simply come over here to Uuid, and I'd tap the whatever one I wanted. I'm not going to do it. Once I have the one I want, I would come back down here and hit update and close, or update, doesn't matter. And then to actually sync this whole process and get it to change the beacon group, you're going to have to take your beacon and turn it on or put batteries in it. Once the batteries are on, then once the batteries are on, then you're going to need to install Onyx beacon onto an iPad or Android device, and you're actually going to have to configure the rest of it from there. So in essence, you're going to need the application regardless to change it. I just wanted to show you guys you can halfway configure them through the computer. So in the next video, I will show you guys how the other half of the process into changing the beacon group on the application. But if you wanted, you don't even have to use the web console or this at all. Sorry, you still do have to use this, right? This is a must. You have to input all of these credentials here for our system to recognize the beacon. However, Onyx Beacon, the website, you can do all of this on the application. So I'll show you guys how to do that in the part 2 of this video. And then you can decide, what is easier. In my opinion, I would just use the application on the iPad. It's simpler and more intuitive. All right, thanks for watching.